Lovely to have your company with me today. This is Esther at Stampin Star Creations. I'm using the birch stamp set and coming in with Pool Party, and I just want to lay down a background on my square piece of basic white card. So I'm holding it in my hand because you've got a bit more control if you hold the stamp like this, and I'm just laying down some lines in the background and just dabbing it on. And a lot of this will be covered up, but it just helps to break the background and give it some texture. Coming in with basic grey, and this is the hand penned stamp set and the florals from that. I'm going to create a border around the edge. As I go around, I'm just slightly changing the angle of the stamp to try and make sure that the flowers fit in as best as possible. So sometimes this means partially stamping it and just keep going round until the flowers fit as best as you can. Bringing in the birds from a Free as a Bird stamp set. So the birch stamp and the Free as a Bird are not carrying over to the new May 2022 catalogue, so if you want to get your hands on it, make sure that you do. Bringing in Pale Papaya, Fresh Freesia, Polished Pink, Soft Seafoam and Soft Succulent as my colour selection for colouring in the florals. So for the larger leaves I'm using the Soft Succulent colour, just looking around my stamped images, and then for the smaller leaves I'll be coming in with a Soft Seafoam, and this just helps to give a different shading of green to the foliage, and it just gives it a nice kind of a different look, I guess, to stamp the leaves into different colours. Using the Fresh Freesia to fill in the smaller two posies in the floral arrangement, and using second generation stamping, so stamping and then stamping again, giving you a lighter shade. Then with the Polished Pink I was very mindful that it's quite a strong colour, so I'm just experimenting to see if it looked better if I stamped off first. So I am coming in with a second generation of colour in the Polished Pink for the larger florals. Then this is a Pale Papaya for the medium size, and again just doing that second generation stamping, and you get this lovely effect of shading, and I think it looks a bit more natural. Then using this stamp by itself, it does have a stem to go with it, but I'm just bringing these little pom-pom flowers in, and again just stamping off first before bringing in the Polished Pink colour. This stamp here is from the Stitchery stamp set, and I quite like the idea of just creating a border with it and stamping on top of what I've done already. So this wasn't planned, but this actual stamp fits very well around my card. So I think it was just under 6 inches, it might have been about 5.5 inches roughly square, the size of the basic white card. And I didn't mind if it overlapped or if the stitching didn't meet, but it just happened to meet perfectly in the corners. So it was as if it was meant to be. So in order to just help draw your eye in and just to give a nice shaded vignette look, I'm coming in with my blending brush and using some basic grey just to darken around those edges, and it just helps to focus on the stitching and the floral image on the inside of the card. Then using the same colours that I've used for the card, I'm using the same colours in the Stampin' Blends. So I've chosen for the grey branch, and I'm using a mixture of the Soft Succulent and the Soft Seafoam to colour in the leaves, and then I'm going to use a combination for the birds. So laying down the Soft Succulent and then bringing in the Soft Seafoam to just finish off the leaves, and again it just adds a bit of shading to the leaves that are on the image. So when it comes to doing the birds, I wasn't sure what I was doing here. I had no idea how this would look, but I just kind of went with the flow a bit and thought, right, I want it to have a darker head and the back, and then, I don't know, add in a bit of the fresh freesia for the chest, and I kind of just made it up as I went along. And, you know, if it didn't work out, I could always start again. So just using those colours and just coming in with the darker and the lighter version. And then thinking about what colours I didn't want to use. So I've kept the pale papaya separate, and I just came in with a colour blender the colour lifter, to just blend those colours on the chest. Then for the pale papaya, I decided to use those just for the florals. I think the best thing to do with the birds is don't overdo the colours, especially if you're making up doing a pretend bird. So I think this card is worth fussy cutting for. It was a special birthday card, and so I did a fussy cut around those birds. I needed to trim down my piece of Whisper White because I wanted it then to be mounted onto a piece of basic grey cardstock. So I think I trimmed it down to about 14.5 inches, thereabouts, so just to have a border around the edge. And the birds just complete the look. I think they look really nice sat in the middle. Okay, then next I went ahead and stamped the sentiment, and in white embossing powder heated that up, and I've gone ahead and chopped my sentiment up. The great thing about chopping your sentiment is you can move it about where you want. So I've got some friendships are meant to be. Then bringing in this lovely soft succulent sort of double satin ribbon, and I'm just attaching it around the back of my card. And then after I've attached it with the Stampin' Seal Plus, I thought I'd better just attach it around the front as well, because it's going to flap about and it's not going to stay how I want it to. So just going back in and securing that ribbon into place. Cutting off the excess and then just looping it round the front for a faux bow or just to tie a knot. So I've slipped it down to the centre, and then again just snipping it off at an angle. Then I've gone ahead and glued it, and I'm just mounting that on to my basic grey cardstock with some multi-purpose liquid glue. Adding in these lovely brushed brass butterflies, adding a couple in the top corner, coming in with some genial gems, just adding them and dotting them around. And because it's a special card, I've thrown in some faux sea glass as well. And using my Wink of Stella to add a bit of sparkle to the birds, and then just splattering some sparkle around the card. And there we have it. I think I actually popped up the birds on dimensionals, which isn't in the video, but that's just to show you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the card that I made today. I really like this card. I love the colours and the way that it's come together. So if you aren't already, please do subscribe to my channel. Thumbs up if you've enjoyed today's video, and leave me a comment below. Lovely. Take care.